Hi there, I'm Mistel Godlewski, an American girl who called the cornfields of Illinois home until over 10 years ago when I started navigating the chaos of life overseas. If you've ever felt that itch for something more, that whisper telling you to break free from the ordinary, you're in the right place. This podcast is your backstage pass to the wild ride of moving abroad. I'm here to pull back the curtain on the real journey, sharing stories that are funny, dramatic, and sometimes downright unbelievable. We'll explore the gritty details, from battling culture shock and navigating tricky visa processes to celebrating those small victories that make it all worth it. So whether you're daydreaming about a new life abroad or already in the thick of it, grab your passport and let's explore what it really means to live life beyond borders. Welcome to Abroadly Speaking. Hey there, friend. Welcome to the Abroadly Speaking podcast. My name is Mistel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today, this podcast is for anyone who's ever Googled how to move abroad with kids while broke at 2 a.m. and thought, okay, but seriously, what if I just did it? So I left, as many of you know, I left the United States originally in 2013, brought my job, my husband, my 2 cats, and eventually had a kid across the ocean. So I help families make real, doable international moves without losing their minds, their money, or their sense of humor in the long run. And today we're going to talk about summer. Not Pinterest perfect, all white linen on the beach kind of summer, but the kind of summer that unfolds when you're not trying to survive 12 weeks of unpaid labor with no childcare and a spreadsheet full of quote unquote free activities that somehow still cost $75. This summer is when you don't live in panic mode anymore. Okay, so let's set the scene. Somewhere in America right now, a mom is sitting in a hot car in a Target parking lot trying to figure out how she's going to fill 12 weeks of summer vacation without going broke or losing her job or just fully unraveling. She's Googled things like affordable summer camps near me, or can an 11-year-old legally stay home alone, or the ever popular free summer activities that don't suck. Meanwhile, she's eyeing her kid in the back seat, who's halfway through a bag of goldfish crackers and already saying, "Mommy, I'm bored." It's June 3rd, and she's already exhausted. Used to see so many women, and I still do, in my family group chat. My sister-in-law, God bless her, with her 2 little girls, is like, what am I going to do all summer long? I work full-time. I have a full-time job. So does my husband. And what am I going to do? I want to tell you, summer doesn't have to feel like this. Because when we moved abroad, summer didn't magically become perfect, peaceful, and like the dream, but it did become more manageable, more human, more livable. I still work during the summer. My daughter still does go to camp. Our whole relationship when it comes to summer, it changed because the culture around us changed, enabling us to do some things very, very differently than what people back in the US do. So let's talk about what summer actually looks like here in Switzerland. First of all, school lets out for 6 weeks, not 12, not longer. And yeah, we have school breaks throughout the year, 2 weeks here, 3 weeks there. It's more spread out, but summer itself is very short. It's just 6 weeks, period. That alone is life-changing because you're not looking at a giant canyon of time that you somehow have to fill with camps and activities, family visits, and childcare. 6 weeks is a season, not an abyss. And adults, well, I get 5 weeks of paid vacation every year to take when we want and how we want. So instead of trying to wedge all of our family fun into July and August, we can pace it throughout the year. A little ski holiday in February, for example, a trip to Italy in October, a long weekend at the lake in June. We use our time. It doesn't use us. And the rest of summer, we stay home because, well, to be honest, home is beautiful. It's a postcard where we live, and we live inside of it. So what does a regular summer look like for us? My daughter typically goes to day camp while we work, but this isn't just a supervisor and a gem kind of day camp. It's riding the trains around Switzerland, or it's horseback riding, or it's ice hockey camp, for example, this year in the mountains. Camps here are experiences built to give kids independence, confidence, and a serious sense of adventure. For the first, since we moved here in 2021, essentially, we moved here in 2020, but the summer of 2021, she went on a train ride at 4 years old throughout Switzerland. We would drop her off at the train station at 8 o'clock in the morning. She would hop on a train with an adult, go someplace in Switzerland, and return back to us at 6 o'clock at night. It was absolutely, in fact, she did it for 3 years in a row. She absolutely loved it. She got to experience Switzerland. We paid, I think it was like 100 francs a day, but it included all of her food, all of her travel. A franc is roughly $1.10 a day. So we were paying about $110 a day for her to go anywhere in Switzerland, have a whole day of adventure, and enjoy it. All the food was included, all the activities were included in that price. And I wasn't stressed about, oh my God, what is she going to do at home at 4 years old with me for an entire 6 weeks, right? And you get to keep doing things like that for yourself. You choose the activities that are right for your child. And there's so many different options. It makes it amazing for us. So we actually enjoy that kind of thing. She makes friends in a different language, seeing places I didn't visit until I was an adult, and she's doing it on her own 2 feet. Meanwhile, during the week and during the day, I work sometimes from home, sometimes at the office without any guilt because I don't feel like I'm failing at summer. There's no pressure here to make every day magical. There's no curated crafts, no Pinterest checklists. It's really just life. She learned, and I'll tell you, I'll go on a little aside for 1 second. During one summer camp, this was not last summer, but the summer before, she did the train rides. Now, she wears a bracelet that has my phone number on it in case of an emergency. And she also, based on that camp she was in, she wore a name tag with an emergency number. Well, one day, because it's my daughter, she didn't get off the train with the rest of the group. It was her and another little girl got stuck on the train. And by the time they realized they should have gotten off, the train doors had closed. Now, here in Switzerland, once the train doors are closed, they're closed. And there's no opening them ever unless it's an emergency, right? So you don't get to be like, whoa, I missed my stop. It essentially means you have to get off at the next stop and then go back and reverse yourself back. Well, my daughter was 5 or 6 at the time. I can't remember exactly because her birthday is in summer, but she was 5 or 6 at the time and she didn't get off the train. The chaperones didn't realize she was gone until the doors closed. And oh my gosh, there's my daughter still on the train. So what happened? Well, she got off on the next stop, 5, 6 years old, speaking a language that is not her primary language at home. At home, we primarily speak English, but at school and in life, she speaks German. So she needed then to find an adult to speak German to. We've always told her to go to a little old lady, especially here in Switzerland. They're always going to be very helpful. The grandmothers are always going to watch out for everybody's kids. So she walked up to a little old lady and said, I'm lost. I missed my stop. Call this phone number. And it was the phone number on the name tag on her shirt. And the chaperones were on the next tram and they were able to pick her up quite quickly. She was alone with the other little girl for about 10 minutes before the chaperones arrived. But the adults waited with her and made sure that she was safe, made sure that she was taken care of. Of course, the camp made some changes after that happened, but it was a really great experience because she got to feel the freedom and be independent and learn life lessons. Number one, get off the train with everybody else. But number two, how do I handle these scary situations? I was never afraid. When we were told what happened, we knew it was under control. She knew exactly what to do. We taught her what to do in those circumstances. And also, it gave her some knowledge and some experience, and she's in a safe environment. God help us if we would have been in the US. I don't know what I would have done. I would have lost my ever loving mind. But in reality, here, I felt comfortable that I didn't have to worry. She was in a big city in Zurich, actually, at the time. And I still didn't feel uncomfortable with her circumstances as it were. And we knew she would get home safely. During the summer, we eat outside. We eat cold dinners like bread, cheese, fruits, and maybe some sliced cucumbers. If I'm feeling super fancy, there might even be a grilled peach involved. And no one cries because there's not a really hot meal, especially not me who has to cook it. On the weekends, we go to the lake or the river, or we hit the local pool, which just happens to have view of the Alps. We don't take big vacations every summer. We don't fly back to the States unless we really want to. That's a rule we made in ourselves very early on. We are not obligated to travel just to prove something to someone else. We live here now, and that's enough. We do have visitors who come and see us here, which makes a big difference, but we don't have to get on the plane every summer and spend 3 of our 6 weeks of summer in the US. Here's the part that I really want you to hear. This didn't happen because we were rich or because we got lucky or because we waited until life was perfectly lined up. This happened because we decided we were done living in survival mode and we started planning one step at a time. We figured out where we could move that would work for us legally and financially after my husband found a job. We didn't end up having $10,000 in the bank. In fact, we only had $2,000 in the bank when we moved. And as I've talked about before, we did have company sponsorship helping us with our relocation of our stuff. We would have done things substantially differently if we didn't have the company sponsorship. But when we moved here the first time, we had less than $2,000 in the bank and we still made it work. We don't need dual citizenship. We didn't need to know everything before we left. What we did was we had clarity. We found out the visa strategy that worked with a company that was working for us. We found a budget, and man alive, did we have to stick to it for the first few months that we lived here, like like a fly to flypaper. Man, we were stuck on a budget, but it was really important to us to get out and to really experience the world. At the time when we moved, politics weren't what they are today. That's for sure. There was still, of course, challenges with politics. There was some challenges overall everywhere, all the time, right? And also, we didn't face the same challenges that are being faced today, but we wanted to experience life differently. And so we did. We did all the things we needed to do to make ourselves successful. Once we got here, we made friends. We've made people that we consider closer than our own family in many cases. We have people that if something happened to my daughter tomorrow, or I'm sorry, if something happened to me tomorrow, my daughter would go and stay with them until a family member can come and get her. It is people who we care about and love and created a family. You've heard that one from me before. Friends who turn into family with here. And we wouldn't have had that same experience in the US. We'd be trying, first of all, we probably wouldn't have my daughter, but if we did, we'd be trying to shove 12 weeks of chaos into her schedule. And then she'd be spending the first month back at school in third grade, learning what she forgot between second and third. Those things just simply aren't the case here. And if you're listening to this right now while your brain is doing the mental math of how many weeks of camp you can afford versus how many weeks of summer you actually have to survive, I'd like to point out that this is your sign. It doesn't have to be like this. You're absolutely not wrong for wanting more or for being tired or for dreaming about a version of summer where you don't have to white knuckle your way through 3 months of panic. You're absolutely not crazy. You're not ungrateful. You're just paying attention. If summer is your tipping point, listen to it. Listen to the voice that says, I want slower days, or I want space to breathe, or I want my kids to grow up somewhere that they could be bored without being dangerous. These are not impossible goals. They're indicators that your values are shifting, that the pressure you're under isn't actually normal, even if it's common, that the version of the life you're living isn't the only version that's available for you. And no, moving abroad won't fix everything, but it can be the beginning of a better fit, a new chapter of things where it gets quieter, simpler, more aligned. So let's start talking next steps. If you're listening to this and feeling like, okay, that sounds amazing, Miss Dell, but how in the hell do I even start? Well, start first with my free visa checklist. Seriously, it's no fluff. It's not aspirational BS. It's a real breakdown of what you need to gather together, document wise, for your visa preparation. What you need is a plan, my friend, and I am happy to hand it over to you. That checklist is going to be in the show notes for you. Grab it while you can and get started. Moving abroad is, of course, not for everyone, but if you're still listening to this, it might just be for you, especially if you're craving a summer where you're not scheduling your life around a childcare crisis, especially if your idea of rest doesn't involve booking a flight, just a blanket and some grass and a kid who isn't melting down because they're overstimulated and undersupported. You can build a life where the pace is gentler, where your work is there, but you don't hustle, where the summer isn't something you survive, it's something you live. All right, my friend, thank you for being here. Thanks for dreaming out loud with me today. And thanks for trusting me to walk you through the possibilities. I'll be back next week with another episode of A Broadly Speaking. And until then, take care of yourself. You are absolutely allowed to want more. And I'm here to help. Just DM me on Instagram or on email or however you want, smoke signals, whatever it works for you to try and help. And if you have a couple of seconds and you can leave a review, and even just the star review is perfect, I would really appreciate it. We can reach more people who want to move abroad, and we can help more people who want to move abroad. All right, my friend, I will see you next week on the next episode of A Broadly Speaking. Thanks for tuning into A Broadly Speaking. If today's episode got you dreaming a little bigger or thinking a little braver, go ahead and hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who's ready for their own adventure. And hey, don't be a stranger. Come hang out with me over on Instagram at I am Estelle for the real, unfiltered life abroad. Keep that passport handy, and remember, life's too short to stay in one place.